My dad prayed at Sunday dinner like nothing was wrong. Then I learned his work trips were a whole second family. Hi, I'm Mark, 38, and 2 months ago I found out my dad had a second family. Yeah, that kind of second family. It started with a photo, just a stupid photo on Facebook of all places. My cousin tagged me in an old family reunion memory, one of those cringe-worthy 4 years ago today things. I clicked on it while waiting in line at the DMV, half bored, fully annoyed at the 2-hour wait, but then I saw it. A man in the background. Not just any man, my father. Except he wasn't standing with us. He was across the park, laughing with a woman I didn't know, and 2 kids. Not kids from our side of the family. At first, I thought, nah, must be someone else. My dad was wearing that dumb sun hat he always wore on fishing trips, and he had that wide grin he only broke out when he was truly happy, the kind of grin I hadn't seen in years. The timestamp said it was the same afternoon he told us he had to leave early for work. I sat there staring at the screen like I was watching a car crash in slow motion. I zoomed in. It wasn't blurry, it wasn't vague, it was him, holding the hand of a little girl who looked exactly like my sister at that age. I didn't say anything for a week, just lived my life like someone sleepwalking through traffic. I'd see Dad at Sunday dinner carving roast like he hadn't detonated a nuclear bomb in my frontal lobe. Then I did the dumbest, smartest thing possible. I messaged the woman in the photo. "Hi, this is gonna sound crazy, but is that your husband in the picture?" She replied in 20 minutes. "No, that's Mark, my partner. We've been together almost 16 years. Why?" 16 years. I read it out loud just to hear how stupid it sounded. I'm 38. That means he met her when I was 22, when I was still living at home, when I thought he was just working late. I asked her if he had kids. She said yes, a boy, 13, a girl, 9. I didn't reply. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. Then next Sunday, I walked into dinner, sat down, and said, "Hey, Dad, how's your other family?" He dropped the carving knife, and my life as I knew it ended right there. He didn't deny it. That was the part that really messed with me. No stuttering, no fake confusion, no "what are you talking about, son?" He just looked at me, then at the knife on the floor, then back at me and said, "Can we talk about this somewhere else?" My mom froze, holding a bowl of green beans like she couldn't decide whether to set it down or launch it across the room. My sister Emma stood up so fast her chair fell over. "No," I said. "We're not going somewhere else. We're doing it right here. You sat at this table every week and prayed before meals like you weren't lying through your damn teeth." Dad sighed, like I was being dramatic for bringing up the fact that he had a whole second life with 2 kids I didn't know existed. He glanced at my mom like he expected her to help him out, smooth it over, like she always did. But she didn't say a word. She sat down slowly, hands in her lap. Her face wasn't shocked. It was tired. That's when I realized something even worse. She already knew. I looked at her. "How long?" She didn't meet my eyes, just whispered, "I found out 3 years ago." Emma gasped like someone had kicked her in the stomach. I couldn't even get angry yet. My brain was too busy trying to process the math. 3 years. That meant Mom had known through anniversaries, birthdays, even the time Dad had that heart scare and we all stayed overnight in the hospital like one big happy family. She knew, and she stayed. "Why?" I asked her, voice shaking. "Why didn't you tell us?" She flinched like I'd hit her. "Because I thought he'd end it. He said he would. He said it was over." My dad had the nerve to chime in. It was, for a while. For a while? Jesus, Dad! And still, he didn't say sorry. He didn't fall to his knees or confess with tears in his eyes like some made-for-TV movie. He just stood there, arms crossed, nodding like, "Yep, this is what I did. Let's move on." My first thought was,
He doesn't waste time. The second family blows up, and less than 24 hours later, he's test driving son number 2 on the same grass where he taught me to ride a bike. I could still see the exact corner where I crashed into the hedge and split my lip. I was 7. He told me to toughen up. I called Emma. She answered fast. "He's still out there. You want to come see for yourself?" I didn't hesitate. "Yeah." 15 minutes later, I was parked half a block down, heart punching the inside of my ribs. I hadn't been back since Sunday's nuclear dinner. The house looked normal from the outside, like this wasn't the epicenter of betrayal and denial and second-chance parenting. Emma met me at the side gate. "They went inside," she whispered. "I think Mom made cookies." "Of course she did," I muttered. Nothing soothes a crisis like baked goods and pretend amnesia. We crept around the back and peeked through the kitchen window like we were casing a joint. And there they were. Dad, the boy, Mom, sitting at the kitchen table like a sitcom pilot. Mom had that polite smile she uses at church socials. Dad looked relaxed. The kid was eating a chocolate chip cookie like it was his first time tasting joy. I felt like I was watching a replacement draft in real time. Emma whispered, "You okay?" "Nope." "Want to go in?" "Not yet." We stood there like ghosts watching the living. I couldn't stop staring at my dad's face. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't even anxiety. It was peace. Like he finally had the version of life he wanted, and we were the mess he'd outgrown. I walked away first. Emma followed without saying a word. When I got home, I found a voicemail on my phone. It was him. "Mark, I don't know what to say that's gonna fix this. I never meant for you to find out like that. I know you're angry. You should be. But this doesn't change the fact that I love you. You're my son. Always will be." I deleted it halfway through. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about betrayal. It's not the action that breaks you. It's the performance after. He knew what he did. He just didn't think he'd ever get caught. 3 days went by before I finally picked up when he called again. I don't know why I answered. Morbid curiosity, maybe. Like slowing down at a crash, even though you know it's gonna haunt you. He started with my name. Just Mark. Like that alone should open a door. I didn't say anything. "I want to explain," he said. "I don't want the speech," I said flatly. "I want the truth. All of it. Right now." He went quiet. Then he exhaled like he was finally lowering some imaginary briefcase full of lies. "I met her at work. It was supposed to be nothing. I didn't plan for it to become what it did." "How long?" I snapped. He didn't hesitate. 16 years. I rubbed my forehead. "So when you told us you were working late or on those fake fishing trips," he cut in. "I was with them. I know. And Mom knew for 3 years?" "Yes. And Emma and I were just what, background noise to your secret life?" He didn't answer that part. I could hear him breathing. Then I asked the real question, the one that had been festering since the first moment I saw that photo. "Did you love them more?" There was a long pause. Too long. "No," he said finally. "Just differently." I wanted to scream. Differently? Like we were all furniture and he was picking a couch based on color scheme? He started rambling about how things got complicated, how he was trying to be a good father in both lives, how he never meant to hurt anyone. And then I stopped him. "You showed up in that kid's life with cookies and small talk like you just blew up 2 families in the span of a week." "I didn't blow anything up," he said defensively. "It was coming apart anyway." That did it. "No," I snapped. "You didn't blow anything up. You built something behind our backs and hoped we'd never smell the smoke. You stood next to me at my wedding, knowing you had another woman across town.
You hugged Mom on her birthday while telling someone else you loved them. That's not an accident. That's a choice." He didn't argue. I waited. "I'm sorry," he finally said. It was quiet. Too soft. Like he was still hoping I'd say something to make it easier. "I'm not," I said. "I'm not sorry you got caught. I'm not sorry your neat little double life is unraveling. The only thing I'm sorry about is that it took this long." I hung up. Emma texted me that night. "He's not coming to Sunday dinner anymore. Mom told him to leave."
I stared at the message for a long time. Then another one came. From her, the woman, the mother of the other kids. She wrote, "I understand if you don't want to talk, but my son, Liam, he keeps asking why his dad's not coming home. I don't know what to tell him. He thinks you're his brother now. He saw your photo and said you look alike. He was excited." I felt something twist in my chest. Not pain, not pity, something colder. Because Liam was just a kid, and no matter what else my dad was, he was Liam's father too. I didn't reply right away, but for the first time since all this began, I didn't feel angry at her. I felt sorry for her, because she was about to learn what I already knew. He only stays until the truth gets uncomfortable. I didn't reply to her message that night or the next. What was I supposed to say? Sorry your kid found out his dad's a fraud? Welcome to the club. There's no greeting card for this situation, no guidebook. But 3 days later, she messaged again. I told him. About everything. I couldn't keep lying. He cried. Then he asked if he could still meet you one day. I said that's not my decision to make. I stared at the message for 10 straight minutes. Then I locked my phone and went for a run, even though I hadn't run in months. I didn't make it far, maybe 6 blocks, before my chest burned and my knees reminded me I wasn't 25 anymore. But it helped, a little. That night, I talked to Emma. She was sitting on the couch in sweatpants, hair in a messy bun, a bowl of cereal balanced on her knees like we were kids again. "You're not going to believe this," she said before I even opened my mouth. "Mom asked me if she should sell the house." I blinked. "What?" She says it feels contaminated. Said she walks into the kitchen and sees him laughing with that kid like we were all just placeholders. "Did you tell her not to make any big decisions while she's emotionally concussed?" I told her if she sells the house, I'm not helping her move a damn thing. We laughed. It wasn't exactly funny, but it felt good. Then I told her about the message from her, about Liam. Emma got quiet. "Do you want to meet him?" "I don't know." "You don't have to decide right now." "I know, but he's just a kid, Em, like we were, and he didn't ask for any of this." Emma nodded slowly. "Neither did we." That stuck with me. Later that night, I pulled up the message again. Liam wants to meet me. Not because he knows me, not really, because he's 13 and his world just cracked in half, and he's looking for something solid to hold on to. I typed, "Okay, not yet, but maybe, someday." She replied immediately. "Thank you. That's more than I expected. I told him you might not be ready, but I'll let him know you didn't say no." It wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't closure, but it was something. The next morning, Dad sent one more voicemail. He said, "I won't contact you again. I get it now. I've lost your trust, maybe for good. I just want you to know I'm trying to fix what I can, starting with myself." I didn't reply. Not because I hated him, but because sometimes silence is the only boundary loud enough to be heard. 2 weeks passed. Not a word from my dad. Not even a rogue forwarded meme or one of his old "thought of you today" texts, the kind he used to send when guilt was nibbling at the edges of his conscience. It was quiet.
"I think she's really going to sell the house," she said, stirring syrup like it was a lava pit. "She said that again?" "Yeah, she found a condo downtown. Said it feels smaller, safer." I tried to picture Mom in a condo. Tiny kitchen, no garden, no back porch for Dad to sit on and play the role of loyal husband. It actually made sense. You don't rebuild in the same ruins. You move. Then Emma said something that knocked me off balance. She asked if you'd help her pack. I blanked. Me? She said she understands if you say no, but she wanted to ask. The part of me that still wanted to punish her, the 3 years of silence part, wanted to say absolutely not, let her wrap her own memories in bubble wrap. But the part of me that saw her sitting alone at a kitchen table after a lifetime of denial, that part hesitated. "I'll think about it," I said. That's the best I can do. Emma nodded like she'd already expected that answer. Back at my apartment, I opened the message thread with Liam's mom, still sitting there, unread since our last exchange. I tapped out a new message. Tell him I haven't changed my mind, just need a little more time. She replied, He's been drawing pictures of you. Not kidding. Says he wants to give you one when you meet. Says you look like a superhero with a sad origin story. That one made me laugh, out loud, first time in weeks. I didn't know what I was walking toward, what kind of relationship, if any, I wanted with Liam, but I knew I didn't want to pass this pain down another branch of the tree. He deserved better than a legacy of pretending and erasure. I left the apartment and drove, no destination in mind, somehow ended up outside my childhood home. It looked smaller, like someone had gone into Photoshop and hit the shrink button a few notches. There was a for sale sign in the lawn, a fresh coat of paint on the porch, and inside, through the living room window, I saw her, my mom, taping up boxes. Alone. No dramatic music, no lightning bolt of clarity, just an ordinary woman packing up an extraordinary mess. I didn't get out, but I stayed for a while, just long enough to see her pause, sit down on one of the boxes, and quietly cry into her hands. I helped her pack. Not that day. I wasn't ready. But 3 days later, I showed up at the house with 2 rolls of tape and a 6-pack of the sparkling water she likes. She opened the door like she didn't expect me, even though Emma had warned her. She didn't say much, just, "There's boxes in the living room," and stepped aside. We packed in silence for a while. It wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't hostile either, just careful, like we were trying not to touch the bruises too hard. At one point, I pulled a photo album off the shelf and opened it without thinking. Inside was a picture of my 10th birthday, me in a Batman shirt, cake all over my face. Dad was in the background holding the camera. Emma had a tiara on for some reason, probably insisted it was a shared party. I remembered that day. I remembered thinking we were a good family. I showed it to Mom. She didn't smile. "Sometimes," she said, "I think I stayed because I was afraid of what would happen if I stopped pretending." I nodded. I get it. Pretending was easier. "But it cost us everything," she said, voice cracking. There it was. Not a full apology, but something close, a sliver of accountability. I didn't press. I didn't need a breakdown. Just that moment of honesty. After we finished the last of the kitchen, I stood in the doorway staring at the empty house. She came up behind me, handed me a wrapped box. "What's this?" I asked. "Something I wasn't sure I had the right to give you." Inside was Dad's old watch, the one he wore to every family event, the one I used to play with as a kid, pretending it was a time machine. "I thought he'd want Liam to have this," she said, "but I decided no, it's yours." I nodded. Didn't need to thank her.
I left the house feeling lighter, like I'd finally dropped a weight I didn't know I was carrying. A week later, I got another message. "Liam asked if he could send you a letter, not an email, a real one. He said it's more official." I gave her my P.O. box. The letter arrived in a yellow envelope with stickers all over it. Inside was a drawing of me in a cape, holding a shield that said "Truth." Next to me was a kid with messy hair and the same nervous smile I'd seen in the kitchen window. Underneath it said, "Hi, I'm Liam. I hope we can be brothers or something close. My mom says you're brave. I think so too." I read it 3 times. Then I wrote back, just a few lines. "Hi, Liam. Thanks for the drawing. It's on my fridge. I don't know what will be yet, but I'd like to find out." He replied 2 days later. He's fast, talks a lot, loves comic books, hates math, wants to learn how to skateboard, but only if you'll teach me. I haven't said yes, haven't said no, but I've started looking up skate parks near my place. Dad hasn't contacted me again. I think he knows better now. Emma and I are closer than we've ever been. We meet up every week.
Sometimes Mom joins, sometimes not. No pressure, no pretending. The thing I've learned is this. Sometimes family is a door that slams in your face. Sometimes it's a window you have to climb through. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, it's a kid with a crayon and a question. Can we be something? Yeah, kid, we can be something. We just won't call it pretend. I stood up. My legs felt shaky, like I'd just been thrown off a cliff and landed wrong. So what now, huh? You gonna introduce us? Invite them to Christmas? Is there a third family we should know about too? He finally looked guilty, but not for what he did. Guilty that it got found out. I walked out, didn't grab my coat, didn't say goodbye. I heard Emma yelling behind me, and my mom crying, and my dad calling after me, like that meant anything now. I drove home with the windows down, even though it was freezing, just so I could feel something. When I got to my apartment, I opened the message thread with her, the woman from the photo. I typed, "You said he's your partner of 16 years. Did you know he's married?" She read it, then typing bubbles. Married? No, he told me he'd divorced years ago, that his ex wanted nothing to do with him, that his kids didn't talk to him. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I sent her a photo from the last Thanksgiving. Me, Dad, Mom, Emma, everyone smiling. Caption, "This was 3 weeks ago." She didn't reply right away. For 2 full hours, nothing. I watched the read receipt sit there like a lit fuse that refused to blow. I must have stared at my phone so long my vision started to blur. Then, finally, typing. Her message came in 5 parts, like she couldn't get it out in one breath. I don't know what to say. He's here right now. I confronted him. He admitted it. He's leaving. I blinked. He's leaving. Like she'd said the trash is taking itself. Then another ping. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I swear to you. I had no idea. I would never." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. I didn't reply. Not because I was mad at her. I wasn't. Not really. She was just another domino in a long line my dad knocked over without blinking. But that 5th message, that's what stuck with me. He's leaving. He didn't even try to defend it. Didn't try to explain. He just packed a bag? What does that even mean? Where was he going? I found out about 3 hours later when Emma called me from the driveway of our parents' house. "You're not going to believe this," she said. "He came back like nothing happened. He walked in, put his keys on the hook, and asked Mom what was for dinner." What did she say? She said, "There's leftover chicken in the fridge. Help yourself." I didn't know whether to laugh or punch something. Emma paused. "You were right. This isn't a crack in the family. This is rot."
I don't know what broke me more, that she said it like a confession, or that I realized I'd been thinking the same thing since I was a teenager. I always thought there was something off, something missing. The forced smiles, the weird silences, the way Dad would vanish sometimes with no explanation, then come back with new cologne and a strange, happy glow that faded by dinner. We just didn't want to ask. Later that night, I texted Mom. Not a long message, just one sentence. "Did you really think it wouldn't catch up to him?" She didn't respond, but she didn't delete the message either. I saw the delivered turn to red within seconds. Then the real twist dropped. Next morning, Emma sent me a photo she took while pretending to scroll through her phone. It was Dad, in the backyard, talking to the 13-year-old boy from the photo. The kid stood there like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to be nervous. My dad, our dad, was crouched a little, hands on his knees, wearing that soft grandpa face he always reserved for strangers' babies at church. I stared at the photo for a long time. "You're sure it's him?" I texted Emma. "Positive. They pulled up in a gray Honda. The woman stayed in the car. He brought the kid into the backyard like he was giving him a damn tour.